Much for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure.
Well, let's talk about this recent, gold takedown, which ended up appearing, at the time I thought it backfired in the face of the bullion banks trying to scare people out of gold, and it's surely, the reports globally, it has caused a stampede into physical possession of gold. Even Terrence Duffy at CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, was saying that people don't want paper anymore. They want the real thing. China is importing record amounts of gold. Russia, record amounts of gold. Everybody around the globe, private individuals, private wealth, everybody is importing and trying to scramble for gold. After all, it's on sale. What do you say about this?
Well, I think this is the first time this has happened. Usually when you have a drop in the gold price like we've had this time, and it's precipitated on the paper markets and the COMEX primarily, then there's also a drop in demand on physical. This is the first time that I can remember that it's gone the opposite way, that people are perceiving that the drop in price is like a gigantic buying opportunity. It's on sale at a lower price. Fundamentals haven't changed. There's no reason for that to happen, and there's a lot of speculation on why, but clearly there was a lot of gold sold on the COMEX, and as you know, on the COMEX there's really no limitations on essentially selling naked short any commodity. It's illegal in the equity markets. It's not illegal in the commodity markets. So as long as you have the financial strength, you can sell as many futures contract in any commodity that you want without ever having the commodity. So that kind of distortion, I think we've talked in the past, but you get situations like in 1998, Ford Motor Company bought $1 billion worth of palladium at twice the paper spot price. And the reason is you can't build catalytic converters and you can't build cars with paper palladium.
Yeah, that's right. Another thing about this phenomenon, which I wanted to kind of take this to the natural, logical chain of events here, is that it's causing shortages. It's causing a great stress and pain at COMEX and LBMA. Jim Sinclair is out, and he's saying that the emancipation of gold, the real price, is at hand. And of course, Jim Sinclair, Mr. Gold, one of the top gold people in the world. He also says that the bullion banks, not only they didn't just shoot themselves in the foot, they put the revolver straight to the head, shot themselves in the head on this deal, and he thinks that we're going to have a much higher price in gold because he thinks they're going to just run out of gold. They're going to have a force majeure. Either COMEX or LBMA is going to say, sorry, we can pay you in cash. What do you say about this?
Well, on the paper markets, under certain conditions, the futures contracts can be settled in cash versus the commodities. So that's been in place for some time. So the issue is if this backfires, and it's not all the bullion banks that have shorted gold on the COMEX, it seems to be restricted to a few. And what the motivation is behind that. But it certainly wasn't some fundamental change that caused a rethinking of the gold. The primary driver of this is the confidence in the U.S. economy, the U.S. debt, the U.S. dollar. Well, none of that has been fixed. The Republicans and Democrats didn't kiss and make up and all their issues resolved. The debt didn't go away. The Fed's $85 billion a month didn't change. All those things, if anything, are getting worse. So there was no reason for the drop. And I think people that have been following gold and watching it just saw that as a terrific gift. They were just given a discount to buy more, and that's what happened.
Do you think they could, have a force majeure? Do you think they could run out of gold at LBMA? Do you think they could, run out of gold? I mean, supposedly China, GLD lost, according to Dan Norsini, 293 tons since the first of the year. I mean, the amount of gold, China had a record of more than 223 tons imported in March alone.
Well, exactly. This is where the Eastern banks are buying with both hands and have been for some time, and that's accelerating. And that's a major fundamental driver. So that's been going on for some time now, and it's increasing.
But it's increasing.
Yeah,
So you think this is going to cause the price to actually ricochet back up? Is my Jim Sinclair says the emancipation of gold. So my question to you is, do you think it's going to cause the price to, well, as you say in your book, start going this $10,000 gold?
Well, the issue is that when you have this kind of a drop, and it was caused by paper shorting of gold, then if it reverses and goes the other way, you're going to have a massive short covering rally in the conventional sense. So that's a good possibility that's going to happen. But even if we go back to the 70s, like in 1975, gold went from 35 bucks an ounce to 200, dropped to 100. Now, I'm old enough to remember those days, and I remember how many people literally threw in the towel. That they're never going to buy gold again. That's too big a hit. It's like a 50% decline, and then it went up eightfold to 1980 at 800. Right? We get an eightfold rise today. You're at 10,000.
That's right. You're at 10,000. Do you think you think that's Jim Sinclair says 3,500 is a minimum. It's going to go far above that. Do you think you're close on the price 10,000? Or do you think it could eclipse 10,000?
Well, I'm not saying 10,000 next year, and certainly I'm saying plus or minus 5 years. And the concern is that 10,000 isn't a peak by any means. You hit 10,000, you're in hyperinflation. And talking about what the rest of it's going to bring is not a fun discussion. So I'll just leave it at 10,000 for now.
What's the rest of it going to bring? Give me a thumbnail of gold at 10,000. What are we looking at?
When you look at hyperinflations, you get ridiculous number. Like in Germany, gold went up from, I think it was 75 marks an ounce. A few years later, it was 23 trillion marks an ounce. That's what hyperinflation means. It's
like somebody said on Jim Sinclair's site, what's the last working parachute worth on a plane that is going down, that's going to crash?
Well, exactly. So this is what happens. But it's not so much the gold prices going up. It's obviously hyperinflation. The currencies are becoming worthless, and you get on this treadmill of having to print more and more. There's been 65 hyperinflations in this century, and they're all the same. We only talk about Germany and Zimbabwe, but there's 65 of them in total. And the numbers are just mind-boggling. They're hard to conceive, what it actually means. The difference this time around over the 65 other hyperinflations is that this time we're going to have a global hyperinflation based on all the currencies are fiat currencies, and the problems are the same. So that's what the major difference